Gary Nickerson.
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
And this is Outside My Window. Service above self. Those words are near and dear to every Rotarian. The Rotary first became international with the charter of the Rotary Club in Winnipeg back in 1912. The Yarmouth Rotary Club is celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. Joining us are longtime members Reverend Bill Newell and Linda Deveau. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Bill, when did you first join Rotary and why?
Well, the exact date I don't remember, Gary. It was back probably in the early 90s. The service above self was the motivation. Over the years, I had spoken to the Rotary Club for different projects, and then a couple of Rotarians started nagging me and said, "You need to join." So I guess in some sense, I'm a bit of a joiner.
You must have had a lot of wonderful and different experiences over those years. Can you share some of those thoughts with us?
Yeah, it's been a interesting, as you mentioned. You know, one of the since I joined, I know there were projects before, but I know one of the ones we raised money for a dressing room here at the Mariner Center. We raised money for the hospital. Money, I'm saying $25,000, so it's not small change for a small service club. And we've done a lot of small projects. We bought scooters for several people, and then that got to be a headache because they not only wanted you to buy them, they wanted you to service them too, and some of them didn't know how to take care of them, so that got to be a real challenge. I've gone to the district convention 2 or 3 or 4 times, and I also went to the international convention in Montreal back a number of years. That was a unique experience. We had just, as a project, we had gathered books to send to, I want to say, Nigeria. And we ended up with 16 tons of books. Put them down the old cotton mill and sorted through them. Some of them weren't fit to send for more reasons than one. But, and then we boxed them all up, put them in a container and shipped them off. And when I was in Montreal, I got to talk to one of the fellows from Nigeria who was on the receiving end of those books. So it was kind of a very unique experience and very, 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 very nice.
How have you seen the club change over the years? And in your view, are these service clubs like Rotary still relevant in these times?
I certainly think they're relevant. They certainly changed. When I joined, there were only maybe, you could probably count the number of women on one hand, and now at a meeting you would count the men on one hand. So it's changed that way. But I think service is always going to be it's something that's needed. Unfortunately, it's mostly the older gentlemen. And I say that I better be careful here, but 40 and above, or people. I don't think we've got anyone below 40, have we?
I don't think so. Not
no,
at this
I don't think
time.
so. Not at this time, I don't think. But so it has changed.
We're all in that 40-plus category, sir.
Yes,
I think you're safe.
yeah, and some of us are considerably older than 40. But we had to look at 40 in one of the enlarging rear view mirrors. But nonetheless, it is I still think it's relevant for the day.
So with that in mind, what sort of attraction is there within Rotary for the younger generation? What would draw somebody into service under Rotary for somebody that's under 40?
Rotary is it's international, and it has that does some very interesting projects internationally, but it does some things locally as well. So if you're interested in helping, I guess is what I'm saying. It's one of the very interesting projects that I have got involved with is Polio Plus. Back in 1985, Rotary took on the task of eradicating polio in the world, at that time, it was, well, it was everywhere. And I remember polio back from my youth, when the polio vaccine first came out. And I had a friend, playmate, I wouldn't have been 10 years old. We were under 10. His dad, he was from Massachusetts. His mom was originally from Clarks Harbor, and she was a nurse. His dad was a father, a doctor rather, and he got polio and died, and that always stuck in the back of my mind. And then when I got in Rotary, I became very interested in Polio Plus, because I don't know what the cost is now, Linda, but it's less than 50 cents a dose.
Oh, yeah. So easy to get the vaccinations,
The cost-wise.
produced and cost-wise.
Yeah.
And
then they're delivered. They have teams that go around. Right now, it's down to I think a couple of countries, two countries in the world where it's still active.
Pakistan and Afghanistan are the two countries left. And because of the strife and the wars,
Right on the border, it's hard to
get the teams in safely, and we have had loss of life getting those teams in to vaccinate, and there are cultural differences,
a lot of distrust.
Education about distrust with the vaccines and distrust with Westerners, that's all a part of it. So there are phenomenal women and men and medical people who are Afghanistani and who are Pakistani, who lead some of these teams in to their own, countrymen and to their own citizens to make this happen. So, it will be like the first.
Second smallpox.
Okay.
This is a second disease, worldwide disease
Eradicated.
that will be eradicated if we can get to, every once in a while you get a little flare up and you trace it back, and it's someone that's come from one of these two areas that's traveled somewhere, but they jump right on it and refocus vaccines in those places, and so it's down to two.
Amazing to think that, a local service club, has extended itself globally, internationally, and taken on this project to, eradicate a disease from the world. So it's just neat to be part of something that's just so much bigger than me or you, or, and to feel that you can have a part to play in that. So it's great to do the local food banks and the shelters, and we've raised money for the Ronald McDonald houses and the Daffodil House, for cancer in Halifax, and all of the things that improves the quality of life for our citizens here in the Tri-Counties. But there is just that extra surge of adrenaline to know that you are doing things globally at the local level. So it's just pretty cool, the connections and the education base and the learning curves. And now that we have everything electronically, that that you can go on the computer, so you, as a member of Rotary, you can go into My Rotary and you can go into rotaryinternational.org, and there's courses you can take online, and there's clubs you can join online, and you can, if you're going to go visit Cuba, well, not Cuba, they don't have any clubs there, but if you're going to the Dominican Republic, or if you're going to Spain, or if you're going to Massachusetts, you can just go on the computer. Oh, there's a club there. What time did they meet? When did they meet? Drop in, like all of these connections. If you have a flat tire, you're a Rotarian, you check at the local. If you're traveling, you check somewhere. Oh, they have a Rotary Club. Make the connection, make the call. All of a sudden, you've got instant friends. It's really makes you part of this village.
Was it personal for you, Linda, when you joined in? Like, was there a reason for you to get involved with Rotary in the beginning?
Just in that my parents raised my brother and I to live in a community, be involved in a community, be connected to a community. And I was a business professional, and this was a business organization who, again, were doing things at the local level, at the provincial level, at the international level, and that interested me. I do like to travel. I do like that bigger picture. So it was an opportunity for me to grow and learn, personally learn from people in the community that I respected, who I felt would mentor me as a young business professional. And in exchange for that fellowship, that mentoring, that volunteering, I would learn and grow. And so I've never regretted it. I love it.
And you're still there.
I'm still there. So, yes, now I'm aging out from being the young, new female member. Now I'm one of the senior historian kind of members. So,
But you go from mentee to mentor.
You do, and you watch it change, and I mean, it's as society changes, the club changes. So there used to be, of course, it was only a men's club, and now it's a very diverse, non-denominational, women, men, young people. There's the Interact, which is the high school age. There's the Rotaract, which is the university and young professional age. So, you have all of those connections, those that have come before you, those that are coming behind you, and Reverend Bill mentioned, of course, the conferences and the conventions where you again, exchange ideas. We laugh and we say that we have a Rotary, the R&D method, I think, as I learned that at one conference, and it's rip off and duplicate. So when you see
a good idea, you take it and run with it.
Other clubs that are doing things and they're successful and they've got really good committees and really good projects, and we all share, and then you learn and you think, well, we could apply that here, and then you get on the phone, you get on the computer, and how did you do this? And it's just a really great learning and exchange community.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, not everything's going to work everywhere.
No.
Correct.
You've got cultural differences, language differences, logistical differences, and so on. But I'm sure there's a lot of initiatives that that work well everywhere.
Well, the Polio Plus goes right around the world. I mean, Bill Gates Foundation has been one of the leaders in this, along with the Rotary Club. They'll come up with, say, we'll give you $2 billion if you but you need to match it within a certain or match it to
funds
match it to $1 million, and we'll so every dollar you give is the same as giving $3. So that type of thing, and as I say, it's around the world. Some of the stories of people who have traveled to do these clinics and hand out vaccines are tremendous. And there's some people pretty well dedicated their lives to it, really.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's so inspirational. And we get a Rotary magazine, and that gives ideas and information and education and stories. And, I mean, you're inspired, to live a bigger life.
And they do a lot of I mean, that's one project, but they also do a lot of water projects.
Mm-hmm. Environmental
projects. There's a peace aspect of it. They train
peace fellowships.
Peace fellowships and whatnot. So it reaches right across and around
and
the
those
world.
are recognized globally.
Yes.
I mean, that they are.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there's any opportunities for like an exchange program of some sort where you could do international swapping.
Friendship exchange. They call them friendship exchanges. So those are going on all the time. Different clubs will trade off, and you go stay at their homes, and then they come and inbound and outbound. They'll come stay at yours.
I was involved in one to Scotland, and we had a team back here, and then we had another team from Seattle, Washington, and Vancouver area. They have an international club. And we had those here.
I had 3 of those folks stay
Yep.
at my house, and then I've had another group from the Finger Lakes, New York, come and stay at my house. I haven't done an outbound, but we've hosted at least 2 inbound. that I've had in my home, and I think we might have done actually 3 or 4 hostings, but there were enough Rotarians that
Seafood would be a big draw.
Oh,
right?
yes, definitely.
we do the lobster dinners.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, that's a big.
We had a team from, they were young professional people from Taiwan that were here. 4, 2 ladies, 2 adults, and a supervising older adult. Again, professional one, and I keep in touch with one of the girls that was here. She's since emigrated back to Canada. She's living in Vancouver. So,
And I did vacation in Bahamas, and I did looked up. Rotary Club. Yep, this time, that time, I'm going to go to the meeting. And went to the meeting, had a great time. Met lots of people. They had someone who was actually going to be running for the presidency of Bahamas was their guest speaker. So that was quite interesting to be there and be present for that. And then I've stayed in touch with one of the girls from the club. We connected up on Facebook, and of course, then they had their big hurricane. And she lost everything. I mean, so she's posting pictures of her home, and I mean, there's nothing left to it. So then all of a sudden, their club and the clubs in the Bahamas and the clubs in Florida, are very focused on clean water, fresh water, new water. So you start to feel more connected to the world around you, and then all of a sudden you think, I have a friend in the Bahamas now, and so what concerns her concerns me. And you realize how similar we all are as humans, and that we just want food and water and family and friends, and
the basics.
The basics in life are quite interesting, and there's just something about it that's kind of magical.
Perspective is everything.
And when you think that Paul Harris, who started Rotary, he was a new young lawyer in Chicago. And he wanted to meet other, professionals and be involved in his new community. And that's how this all started, with a group of the gentlemen. And they'd take turns having the meeting in each other's offices. So that was sort of the Rotary and the Rotary wheel, and how the concept of it got started. And, now they have this 5-star foundation that's recognized around the world, and there's grants. So there's district grants and there's international grants. So even the park here, Millennium Park, that's here in Yarmouth, just by the Meadowfield School, that's Rotary Park. And we got a district grant a few years ago to do a butterfly and bee garden. So we could put a couple $1,000s into it, and they would match a couple $1,000s. And so there's just, it's just known that the money that you give to Rotary for projects and contributions and foundations, it's guaranteed that 100% of your dollars goes to the medical, the environmental, the clean water, the whatever it is you're doing, or a local butterfly and bee garden in a local park. The money is all spent where it needs to go.
A lot of organizations struggle to maintain a membership. Is the Yarmouth Rotary Club, through the years, to both of your knowledge, had any trouble sustaining that level of membership to do all the good work that you do?
We've had some struggles, and
More current.
Yeah, more current, I could say. Yeah,
as everyone
yes.
else right now.
Yes, yeah, that's the thing. Is
As the baby boomers
people
are aging.
Yeah, people are interested, but they've got work commitments and things, and we have members that can't get to the meeting every week, but they're still involved, and they get involved in projects and things. So yeah.
And the club format has adapted to society changing, in that we don't count the attendance anymore. It used to be you had to attend, and if you missed 3 meetings,
percentage.
Now we just understand lives are different, society is different, and we want people involved, and people have so many different life skills and can contribute in so many different positive ways, that just the 1 hour, couple times a month meeting is not the gist of it, is not the heart of Rotary, so that you can give and be involved in a lot of different avenues. And they used to have like a classification number. So if you were a realtor or you were a banker, or you were a pharmacist, or you were a teacher. Like, you could only have a certain number of those in each club, so that it wasn't a club run by, everyone owning a hotel in Yarmouth, and then they would pick projects and do things maybe that was a little more personal agenda or benefit. So it was set up in a way that it was a broad spectrum and representation of the community, a broad spectrum and representation of different skills and different connections. So if we needed a project where you had to build something, well, you knew the guy who had the wood, and you knew the guy that, had a truck, and so everybody working together had those connections. So that's a little looser now. That the community just lends itself to being diverse. That there are pharmacists and realtors and school teachers, and that's just who's going to show up in the law of percentages. And of course, having women, in the club, and trying to be diverse, and young people, and so we are in the same as the other service clubs, the Scouts movement, the guiding movement, the hockey, that whatever, everyone's looking for coaches and volunteers and delegates, and because our population is shifting, and we will keep going, and we just put in 100 years. I'm sure we'll put in another 100.
We won't be there for the next 100.
No, I won't be there for that. And I think the big thing is Rotary just quietly went about, as did other service clubs. It wasn't about making a big deal of yourself, and it wasn't about getting publicity and having everyone pat you on the back and shake your hand. So over the years, everyone just quietly went about their business, making inroads into what was needed, asking the questions, making the contributions, volunteering, providing services where we could. And it was expected as a member of society to join something. That expectation doesn't exist anymore. And now we have to market ourselves and promote ourselves and advertise ourselves a bit, and that's a new mindset. That it's not always that comfortable in bragging yourself up, and soliciting to have that membership. So again, as society changes, we too must change and adapt, and that is one of the things we have to get a little. We're very proud of the club and its members and what's been done, and we have to be loud and proud, as they say now. So.
Do you coordinate, communicate, or otherwise share ideas with the other service clubs in the area so that you're not falling over each other on like-minded projects?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a great relationship with the Lions Club, which exists here in our community. And we invited the Lions Club to come to Rotary Rib Fest last year. It was our first Rib Fest adventure. And we asked the Lions Club, would you like to do the 50-50 on site? And they jumped in, and they'll be back again this year to do it again. So I've sat and chatted with the last 2 or 3 presidents, and I know the Lions Club was involved with the car show, and we've interacted and chatted on that. We've also had like social events where again, we live in a smaller community, so we flow in and about and around each other. So I'd like to think that we're good at sharing and talking and knowing and being aware of what's needed in our community and who's trying to fill those needs. So there always seems to be, unfortunately, we don't seem to trip over each other and double dip. There's always seems to be more needed for more. So it's, but it's a pleasure to be out there and have that interaction.
All of this incredible and varied skill sets and wonderful personalities of the members of the Yarmouth Rotary Club really has to build an energy or a synergy that keeps you going and working on all these projects. Can you both talk about that?
Going back to the Millennium Park, we haven't so much late years, but we were pretty well almost every year planting flowers and scratching and digging. Someone had a backhoe, and they were there. You know, if we had to plant trees and this type of thing. So, but it's so it's just not meetings. It's getting out and doing things together that makes a big difference.
The social and the fellowship. And
yes.
And deers have not been our friends in that park as much as we love to see all of the environmental and the wildlife.
Yeah, they haven't.
I think that's a shared perception.
Yeah.
In the community.
So we've actually started talking about maybe it's a park, we should have some like metal sculpture and rock sculpture, and we're good now with the planting, and maybe we'll create some of those bee houses and bird houses and things. Pivot has been the very
Buzzword.
the buzzword, haha, in the bee park, no pun intended. But with the COVID the last few years, everybody says pivot, so we'll pivot there. But it does. That fellowship, and like I said, the connections, local and international, certainly maintain. That's a big part of
Right. Yes.
what we want to do. And I just took of course, Zoom meetings now, and I mean, some people are fans, some people are faux, but I've done some Zoom meetings. We've put on a conference through Zoom, so I've gotten to meet other Rotarians around the district easier and more often than when we were meeting in person, because you're busy and you can't always go, and it's costly. And so now you can sit on the computer and you can have a glass of wine or a cup of tea, and you're like, oh, hi, yes, I remember I met you in the Newfoundland convention 2 or 3 years ago. Nice to see you again. So, and again, it makes you feel like the world is a little smaller. And I just took a course on Rotary, and I wasn't even aware that all of these courses were being offered, but mine was on working with youth and what's appropriate now and what's not appropriate, and what's a safe space, and how do you look and recognize any troubles. And I did the whole thing online through Rotary. And as I was clicking on finding my course to take it, as I needed it to be the Interact High School Liaison, I was looking at the list of courses, and I thought, wow, because I do know that the next generation coming up behind, even though they do look to serve and they do look to get involved in the community, there is also sort of a double-edged sword on that, in they want what's beneficial to them. Can they increase their resume? Can they learn a skill that they can apply, outside of the service club? And I thought, wow, this is something we need to let new members know, or prospective members know, that there is education and training available to them through their membership. And then there's also fellowships. And gosh, how many fellowships is there now? There must be 20, 30, 40 fellowships. Like if you are a motorcycle rider, or if you are a whiskey aficionado, or if you like genealogy, there is an international Rotary fellowship that you can join. If you're a marathon runner, I'm trying to think.
No,
this.
that's not
That doesn't
for
fit.
you.
That doesn't fit us.
not happening. Not happening.
There's one for aviation. So I've been also lucky, as Bill has, in that I've attended a couple of the international conventions, and at the international conventions, most of these fellowships have a booth. So you can go.
Those are just simply amazing. They just blow you away.
I can imagine.
You get a massive. I mean,
25,000 Rotarians from
Yeah.
around the world.
Yeah.
Gather, and speakers are Bill Gates and Axton Kutcher and Princess Anne, and these are the types and levels of speakers.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So the House of Friendship is where we gather when we're not educating ourselves, and in the House of Friendship are these fellowship booths. So whatever you might have an interest in, surfing, you can probably find a committee of like-minded Rotarians and join in with them. And then a lot of these do their own get-togethers. And so yes, it's service above self, and we give to the community, but there's personal benefits and personal growth, too.
Well, of course. And there needs to be, in order for you to be able to continue to serve.
Maintain things, yeah.
It has to be cyclical. in order for it to work. And you know, nothing beats chatting with somebody in person about something that you share as a like. Sure, you can Zoom, you can YouTube it. The internet's a wonderful place, but nothing beats that
Face to face.
face to face. You know, I mean, I personally agree with that. It's just like holding a newspaper as opposed to getting my news online or the like. But are we a dying breed, if I can use that phraseology, you know, compared to the younger folks?
I don't. I agree with Linda. I don't think it is. It's, you know, it's changed, but
I mean, our parents worried that we had our faces in the television too much.
This is true.
'Cause now we worry about
Don't
our
sit too close, you
children.
ruin your eyes.
Yeah, you're watching too much television. Go out and play. You
Don't
know.
keep doing that. Your face will stick in that position.
So now, you know, we have to balance with our children and grandchildren the screen time, and you compromise and negotiate, and you know, 1 hour of athletics or something physical versus 1 hour of gaming. Life is about balances. So as parents and members of our community and educators and business people, we just need to keep
yeah, I think you need,
presenting balance.
There will be different challenges, and there will be different opportunities that will appeal to, you know, a different generation, and I don't anticipate that it will, you know, it may. I mean, things do come and go, but at the same time, there's going to be always someone there that wants to help somebody.
Have you seen over the years generations of folks perpetuate through the Rotary system? Is it a family thing?
I've certainly heard it like discussed, and I've certainly read in the Rotary magazine, you know, about how they joined a club in, you know, whatever community they were in. They were in Toronto or they were in Texas or whatever, and their, you know, uncle, brother, dad was a Rotarian back in Des Moines or Manitoba when they were growing up. So you see those connections, and I know we've had people come to our club and speak at our club who were excited about being at the club and speaking because their father, you know, of course, mostly it's all fathers, because if you're going back in the generation, it was only a male gentleman's business club. So, you know, like our mayor, Pam Mood, her father was a Rotarian. And, you know, so we always start the year in January every year. She's our first guest speaker. And she comes and she kind of does a State of the Union address to us, and Rotary means a lot to her, and it means a lot for us to have her come because there is a generational component there. She has fond memories of her dad, you know, bringing her to a Rotary event or a Rotary meeting when she was a child. And we have a couple of other business members. They can't make the meeting. Their lifestyle at the moment just doesn't allow them to be members, but their father was a Rotarian, and they've made a donation and they've become a Paul Harris Fellow because it was important for them to give to the Rotary Foundation because of what, you know, they had seen their father do. My dad was a gyro, so that was the service club that he was involved in. So growing up in Kentville, my dad volunteered from sunup to sundown at times, and that's how we were raised. But tongue-in-cheek, he used to say, the Rotarians own the town, the Lions Club works for the town, and the gyros just enjoy the town. And that was his. However,
Perspective is everything.
that was his. Yeah, it is. But they all volunteered, and he would volunteer even for the Salvation Army and ring the bell at the kettle and the service clubs. We grew up listening to the Rotary auction. That was huge in the Annapolis Valley. So the Wolfville, Kentville, you know, the Rotary clubs, and it was on the radio. So we'd all gather around the radio and listen to the annual Rotary auction, and we'd make a donation so we could hear our names on the radio. So, you know, it just, you have that perspective of seeing generations through Rotary. So, yeah, we'd certainly like to see, you know,
Yes.
some of the children of the parents making those connections, and we've been very, very privileged in the families leaving us with some legacy money when former Rotarians have passed on, and the family has chosen the Rotary Club as the beneficiary. Right now, we currently have some funds directed to the Yarmouth High School Silver Y program, which is a Rotary program. And again, we have some legacy money of a Rotarian who passed on. The family wanted to make a donation, and the grandson was the recipient of a Silver Y.
Nice.
So in the family connection, we said, you can pick where you'd like the money to go and how you'd like it spent. And they said, please set this aside for the continuation of the Silver Y program. So there's family. It's family.
Service above self, I mean, that's commitment, that's dedication. And obviously for a new member of the Rotary Club, there's got to be quite a sharp learning curve there. You know, 100-year history of the Yarmouth Rotary Club and everything that you do. So is there a process, without giving, any secrets away, of the club, but is there a process for new members to help them adjust and understand what the Rotary Club is all about?
Well, I think when you're talking to someone about joining, you share some things, and then you sort of mentor them along the way. That's part of the.
I'm having coffee actually tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. We have a new member, and I have another Rotarian. I just sort of sent the email out. I said, I'm having coffee tomorrow morning, local coffee shop, 10 o'clock. Anybody want to join? So I have another member who's going to come. And so I printed off a few things off the computer, projects that we've done in the last 5 years, the objects of Rotary, some websites. And we're just going to have a cup of coffee and say, any questions? When would you like to receive your PIN? Because we would just order the new member pins, and when they'd arrive, we'd present them at the next meeting. And that's how it sort of had always been done. And we did that once, and the member was like, oh, if I'd known, I would have invited, my family and my children. And we felt so bad that it meant that much to them to become a Rotarian, that getting their membership and their member pin, they would have brought family to the meeting. And we thought, okay, that's a good learning curve for us after 80 years. Everyone's always learning. And we thought, okay, we need to ask now, at what meeting would you like to be officially inducted? There's no secret handshake.
No, we have nothing like that.
No.
None of that, I'm afraid.
You burst the bubble right there.
There you go.
But you get a lovely pin and lots of friends. So we make sure now, if would you like to have your spouse or your partner or your children come and watch you become a member of the Rotary Club, and we just have a few nice words. And so we get people to come to like 3 meetings, see if they have any questions. What's your interest? Where does your interest lie? Can we connect you with what you'd like? One new member came with an actual fundraising project that she'd been doing previously, and she said, well, I'm interested in joining Rotary, and I will bring this fundraising project with me. And that'll be my contribution, and I'll coordinate this project. And so everybody has different reasons, and Rotary is so broad. You can, fit anyone in. We would just love to have anyone who's interested, step forth. And we have a Facebook, page, so they can send a message on Facebook. And like I said, we'll have a cup of coffee, ask any questions. No big curve. We are all still learning. Like I said, I just found out about these courses, and then we just thought, that's kind of nice if we do induct new members on a special day. So as society changes and the club changes and the members change, we all grow and learn.
Well, a very happy 100th anniversary to the Yarmouth Rotary Club.
We don't look a day over 50.
And for all the work you do locally and internationally. Linda, Bill, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having us.
I'm Gary Nickerson,
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
and this has been Outside My Window.